Well, you're all over the world, so good morning and good evening. It's really nice to see so many faces. We've been doing this for a year and a half, I think, and we're usually 5 or 6 of us. So we'll see how we do with this. It's usually very interactive, so hopefully we can still be really interactive. Caroline, did you have any other explanations you needed to give to people?
Just if you need to move around, make sure that you switch your camera off. If you're not participating actively, please don't have yourself unmuted. Make sure that you're muted and using the raise hand feature. I think that's it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. So, what is it you want from this satsang? So just, you can just right now turn on your mic and just say, we'll see if that works without doing raised hand for a little bit, okay? And then raise your hand so if I can see the faces, I'll know who's talking. What is it you want from this satsang? Monica.
Clarity.
Clarity, okay. Clarity on what?
On what I think.
Okay, all right. Anybody else?
Well, please don't use the chat box. Please rather raise your hand and participate verbally, because this is how Esther's going to be able to anchor us all. So don't use the chat box, please. Thank you.
We'll see. We'll try with raised hands, and if it doesn't work so well, we'll can use chat. Yes, Faye.
I don't really have any expectations, Esther. I'm more curious than anything. So I'm coming in with the idea that anything that I learned today is going to be a major bonus.
But you do know what you want for yourself, no? Just think of life in general. What is it you most want for yourself? This is really the question. No?
Well, I think I'm always looking for ways to set goals to improve what I'm doing as far as BodyTalk goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
To set goals.
I'm not sure how else to say that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Esther.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think for me generally. I'm always looking at ways to improve what I do with BodyTalk, and always looking for ways to be grounded and centered when just in life in general. Okay,
so that's a good list already. Okay.
Okay.
So when you answer, so usually. And also good in a very good group, we keep our answers to maximum of 8 words. This
oh.
It's fine, Faye. So this helps to focus our mind and demands that we respond concisely. Yes, which is we're not used to doing. I certainly. Used to giving long explanations. So if you can do it in 8 words maximum, this is always helpful. Okay, Ben?
Well, when you put it like that, when you said what you do know what you want from life, that changes the question. It's totally different for me. So one thing that I really want from life is relief. I want to feel relief. Relief from stress, relief from, relief from guilt would be great.
Okay, just a small list so far. Got 2 hours, we should manage that. So I can't see hands raised. Caroline, you'll have to tell people.
Becca Marshall.
Hi, good morning. what popped up for me was connection and discovery.
Okay. Can you all see the chat? I'm just putting it in the chat right now. Okay, so we have our list. Anybody else?
Darren?
I would like the confidence to be me, and the confidence to succeed with the goals that I have at the moment. Yes, that's good.
And then Henk?
For me, it's to be in flow of life. Everything that's happening around us, but just to go with it, that it doesn't disturb you and bother you.
Okay. So then not to overreact?
Absolutely.
Okay. So to stop overreacting.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So this is already a good list, huh? So is there one more?
Oh, yes. Shah?
Sharon, did you have one more?
Hi. Yes. I think there's just a lot of stuff happening in my life right now. So I think not to lose who I am.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Oh, Anita.
Anita?
Hi, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
It's to live out my full potential.
All right, so it's quite a big list already. So we'll stop here. And if you have a something, a goal or an intent for this satsang, maybe you can write it down. But otherwise, don't take notes. Huh? So this isn't a heady thing, and anything that needs to be written down, we'll write down. Okay, and then you'll receive that afterwards. Okay, so I have a lovely quote that I found recently by Neil Donald Walsh, and it's, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." And to me, this it just sums up all the work that we do in Satsang usually, and in Breakthrough, that we're looking. So what is this comfort zone that most of us find so uncomfortable? Yes. And what is it that prevents us from getting to the end of our comfort zone? Yes, what is familiar, even though it's really uncomfortable sometimes. So usually in these satsangs, because we've only been 4 or 5 of us for the past year and a half, we have been doing something perhaps unusual in a satsang. We've just been taking 1 word or 2 words, and we just explore them and ask, so what does this mean for us? And this helps us in remarkable ways, gives us insights into what we really think, just about tiny little words. And it's quite amazing to see all the contradictory beliefs we have about single little words. And usually what comes up are all our connotations, okay, for these words. So this has been our main focus until now. But first I thought we would look at the nature of overreaction. So this was what Henk, John, can't you hear? You can't hear. Caroline, could you help him? So we'd look, I think we would look first at the nature of an
hear you or do anything.
Okay, Caroline will help you.
I'll give it a miss. See if I can.
Sorry. Okay, so we have 2 different ways our mind functions. So I thought first we'll look at what is our biggest obstacle, yes? And it seems to be much of the time, yes. So the biggest problem is my mind, no? Is that your experience too? You can nod if yes. Okay. So I thought we'll look. So one of the most helpful things to me was when I met my teacher, Ramesh, was his explanation of how the mind functions in two different ways. And one of them is horizontally and one of them is vertically. And he called the horizontal functioning mind the thinking mind, and the vertically functioning mind the working mind. So over the years, I explored that for myself. So to me, the horizontally thinking mind is when the way we think. Have you ever watched tiny children up to the age of about 3? There's a spontaneity, there's an openness, and then slowly you start to see they start to learn how to behave, which is we have to learn, yes, from our parents and our environment and society. But you see something shifting in the way their thinking happens and in the way they respond to life. So usually when we're really small, we will respond, quite dramatically sometimes to life. And then you'll see a little child, they'll be screaming or they'll be giggling, and then it will just be as if it cuts off, and then they'll be distracted and onto something else. So this was what Ramesh was talking about, the vertical mind. So the something happens and we feel it fully, and then it's cut off vertically. But with our horizontal thinking, this is the hand-me-down thinking. So this is from generation to generation through different societies. We're taught, what is good, what is bad, how to think about ourselves, who we are. We learn all the different roles and identities we have. So this is necessary, but part of that hand-me-down thinking is the habit of assuming. So this is how it is. So a lot of what we're taught when we're little is this is how it is. And even though we rebel against it, we never get rid of what we've been taught. So we end up with a lot of conflicting and contradictory beliefs going on. Some we know about and a lot that we don't know about. So this horizontal mind, I call it the reactionary mind. And the vertical, I call the practical. So that's the natural. It's how we deal with life naturally when there's no overreaction. Okay, so an overreaction is when we get all involved. So the horizontal mind is very reactionary because it's always involved, because everything is about me and how other people see me, and what Ben was saying, my guilt about things. So it's all, everything revolves around me. Whereas when we, in the functioning from the vertical mind, some of you will know this if you're body talkers. You love treating people because you talk about going into the zone, because then you step aside. Yes, so you forget about yourself. So whenever we forget about this awkward self-consciousness, the mind functions very easily and practically. But it's rare that we do, because the horizontal mind is always coming in. Every new event is seen through the filters of what happened in the past and what we assume is going to happen in the future because of that. Okay. So I thought, rather than me talking a lot, I thought we will explore these two ways the mind functions together, and we'll make some lists. So I've always found lists really, really helpful. Hopefully you will too. Ben's going to be our scribe. And we'll see how this works. In the beginning, you just put unmute yourself and say the word and see if that works. If not, we'll have to do the raised hand feature, okay? Okay, Ben, do you want to open a
Yeah, so do you want an Excel spreadsheet then that
Yes,
has
so
the
yes,
columns?
we'll do
Okay.
2 columns. Mhm.
Yeah. So talk until I get that set up.
Okay, so what we're going to do is going to make one column will be our reactionary mind, the horizontal thinking, and one will be the practical mind. And we're going to explore what you think the attributes are for the reactionary mind. Because clearly the reactionary mind is what stops us from what all these different things you're saying. I want to stop overreacting. I want to live my full potential. Wander like a child. Somebody had, where is it? To go with the flow. So we all experience that this mind is constantly interrupting, yes, getting in the way. We're always trying to get rid of it or stop it or calm it in some way.
Horizontal mind would be I have to.
Okay, so hang on a second. We'll just start the lists first. Give Ben a moment. Sorry, won't be a second.
So the title of one is reactionary mind.
Reactionary mind. And if you have room, could you put in brackets horizontal? Horizontal, that's the horizontal thinking. And then
the
practical,
other.
Practical mind. I would have done the opposite colors, but
yeah, I can.
I can. Maybe you could do practical mind in green or something. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Esther, I'm curious if we will have, like, should we be taking?
No, don't take
notes,
notes.
or does that get?
This will all be, you'll receive this.
Okay, thank you.
You'll get copies of everything written. No, because once you start writing, making notes, then you go up in your head. And this is really to come from your gut, yes? So we all have an experience of the reactionary mind, yeah? Because we battle with it most of the time. So we'll need a lot of space for each column, I think. Just half the table.
You mean make it?
So have a reactionary mind one half of the page and practical mind the other half.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So we have room.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. That might be a space issue.
Okay. So we'll begin first of all just with single words. Once Ben set it up. Sweet.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
So what we're looking for is what are the qualities of the reactionary mind and what are the qualities of the practical mind? So we'll focus on the reactionary, and it would appear that the practical is going to be probably the opposite, yes? Okay. So just speak when you have something to say, and if everybody speaks at once, we'll start using the raised hand feature.
Survival.
Reactionary mind. Okay, survival.
Have to.
Shoulds. When you say have
Impulsive.
to,
Should. Yeah. Should. Yeah.
Should. Mm-hmm.
Impulse.
Can you be specific?
Just.
You mean compulsive?
Yes.
Compulsive.
Instinct.
Instinctive. Well, let's first go to so instinctive. We're looking at the way it behaves. Okay. So survival. Let's just go, sorry, Melody, just a moment. So let's go survival. What exactly do you mean by survival? Who said this one, survival, the word?
To live, to get the basic needs met.
Yes. So is it practical you're talking about, or the reactionary mind?
The reactionary. Yeah, reactionary.
Yeah. So how does it function to survive?
It doesn't think through. It just kind of like make
compulsive.
Yes.
Okay, compulsive. All right. So we'll leave out survival for the moment. Doesn't quite fit to our. So we're looking at how it behaves. Yes, I understand what you're saying, Anissa. Sheila.
Panic, fear, anger.
So paranoid. Paranoid? Yes?
I guess if you want to take it to the end, yes.
Well, panic. So paranoid. So really the reactionary mind, you say fear, anger, those are healthy emotions, yes? So fear stimulates the kidneys, adrenals, anger gives us get up and go. But when they're reactionary, that's really different.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So reactionary mind, we've already called it that. So we'll say overreacts, might cover that, huh?
Repetitive.
And who said instinct? Melody, where are you? Sorry.
Yes, sorry.
Is there another word? Do you understand better now what we're doing?
Yes, I would put the instinct more under practical mind versus.
Yeah, okay.
Or sorry, yeah. Okay.
All right. So we'll come back to the other side in a moment.
Yes.
And we'll just, should. So it's full of shoulds, it's compulsive, paranoid, overreacts.
Judgmental.
Chantal, go ahead.
Chantal?
Blaming.
Blaming, what did you say, Chantal?
Yes, blaming.
Blaming.
Yeah.
Can't.
Oops. So give words that describe it as a behavior.
Repetitive.
So nothing wrong with repetitive, huh? But would you say fixates?
I mean, like it repeats its negative behaviors over and over, right? Like if we have learned to react in a certain, if the reactive mind reacts in a certain way once, it will usually, without learning the lesson or learning something about it, it will repeat that behavior.
So addictive?
Addictive, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not saying anything wrong. It's just we're finding the strong words that really what we're trying to do is we're trying to highlight how this mind functions. There's nothing wrong with it. It's never been trained. So it's like a little puppy that, pees and poops everywhere until you train it. And its job is, all it's ever been taught is it has to protect you, yes? And this is what you do to protect yourself, and this is what you do to do this and that. But it's not, it has a lot of rigid rules. I don't know what a word would be for that.
So it would be, it's very critical, right?
Critical, yes. So critical.
Criticizing.
Criticizing,
Critical.
yes. Criticizing.
Looking for faults always, right? I'm German, we do that a lot. It's like,
yeah, looking for faults. So we can write that whole 3 words down. Looking for faults. Mm-hmm.
Assuming.
Chantal, go ahead.
Protecting yourself.
Protecting. Okay, but in what way?
Yeah, like self-protection.
So defensive.
Defensive, yes.
Defensive, okay. And also offensive, yes? And Mary, I can't see you, but your hand is up.
Frustrated.
So frustrated, Yes, but is there a word that describes, as if it was a person and it was behavior, what would describe that? Impatient, maybe. Do you think?
Yes.
Mary, would that be okay? Impatient.
Impatient, maybe explosive.
Explosive, right. Explosive and also implosive.
Comparison.
So Ben just has to sort out these. Would that be the better way for you to do it, Ben? Okay. Implosive. Right.
It's destructive, right?
Destructive.
You had said fixating before. Can we put that on there? I like that.
Complaining. Did someone say complain? Mary, did you say complaining? Wendy? Complaining. And blaming. Somebody said blaming early on. I don't think we put that down. Oh, yes, we do. We have blaming.
And fixating, like you had said earlier, fixating.
Fixating, yes.
As well, can we put surviving back? Because I see surviving in this type of mind, but thriving in the practical mind.
Good one, yes. In that sense, yes, Melody, you were, or whoever had that one.
And you
What
earlier
was that?
said explosive.
Explosive, yes.
Faking.
I didn't understand.
Faking, like to pretend, to fake.
Faking, yes.
Can't.
Faking.
Adriana, you can go ahead.
Manipulative.
Manipulative, yes.
And then Faye.
Generalization, generalizing.
Generalizes, yes.
Controlling.
Controlling. And wouldn't you say it's highly goal-oriented, yes? Wherever there's a goal, there's the reactionary mind, because it's always wanting to change what is. So it's very goal-oriented.
Wanting.
Haunting.
Wanting.
Yeah, good one. Haunting.
Anita?
Interruptive.
Interruptive. That's a really good word. Is there a better word we could use as to describe a behavior? Interruptive. Well, let's put interruptive.
Insisting, but I don't think it's the same
Pushy.
spirit of interruptive.
Pushy.
Yeah.
Pushy, right.
Domination.
Beg your pardon?
Domination.
Domineering. Yes.
Procrastinating.
Procrastinating?
Yes.
Procrastinates. Yes.
Christine?
Perfectionism. Like.
Yes, perfectionism.
And Shannon?
The surviving one versus thriving. So surviving versus thriving.
Yeah, didn't we put surviving down? I thought we did.
I don't think it got on there.
Oh, it still didn't go on, Ben, if we can have surviving. And we'll do the other list in a minute. Not to depress ourselves too much.
Doubting or like skeptical? Like
yeah, so there's nothing wrong with doubting, huh? But it's what's it do to us? It second guessing. Yeah, it's second guesses. Yes, so to doubt is healthy, but second guessing, yeah, is a really different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess I was thinking about it from a different angle, but I'm not sure the word, like to doubt or to be skeptical, different than like giving the benefit of the doubt, which I feel is like very open versus like a very closed, like the world being problematic kind of a view, or
so cynical.
Cynical. That's a good.
Yeah, that's it. Cynical.
It separates. Like polarizes, because it's in order to react, you have to like me versus the other one. It's always a reaction to something, right? Where it's no it's not connection, it's separation. It causes.
So then polarizing. Impractical.
Pessimism. What about pessimism or negativism?
Pessimistic, impractical. Monica?
It's demonizing, or it's like I'm possessed. I don't know how to put that in a word, so I'll think on it.
Okay. So the one before about doubt, it's so self-doubt, yes? So might be another one, so self-doubt.
Yeah, self-doubt.
Yeah.
Narrow-minded.
Narrow-minded. So it assumes, so ignorant, yeah? Okay, so sadly we're not live and we can't do big charts where we can see them visually, so it's a little hard to do it like this, but hopefully you're getting the idea. So let's go now to the other side before we traumatize ourselves too much, and go to the practical mind, and we'll just go through what we have in the reactionary and fill in the practical. So the practical is the vertical, the natural. Yes, so shoulds.
Allow or allowing?
Allows, yes, allows.
Or want?
Well, shoulds would be wants, and the practical mind's a lot more about needs, yeah? Healthy needs.
Yeah,
but
that's
allows would be, so it allows. Compulsive.
Intuitive. Spontaneous intuition.
Could be spontaneous, intuitive. Oh, one word we need to put in the reactionary mind, Ben, is dishonest. Yeah, because it's all about, it's one of the key things that the horizontal reactionary mind does. It assumes. It does not ask questions.
Would you put impatience in that reactionary mind as well?
Don't we have that?
Oh, we do. Sorry. Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Paranoid.
Aware.
Trusting.
Practical.
What came to me was questions. You know, so when we're paranoid, we're usually masochistically fantasizing about something that hasn't even happened. Yes, which it seems to be the horizontal mind does a lot of. Yes, so it's always, but if I don't do this, this terrible thing might happen. If I do this, this terrible thing might happen. So maybe that it questions. What do you think?
Inquires.
Inquires, yes. Inquires and questions.
Would trust be more of the other version of doubt? not doubt.
Well,
What was the other word that we changed it
let's
to?
follow the word to make it not too difficult for Ben. Should we just go down the words, and when we get to doubt, you say it again?
Okay.
Otherwise, we have to keep on scrolling back and forth. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So overreacts.
Centered.
Well, the opposite of overreacting would be, it would be fine to react. So we're going to react to things. Yes, someone punches you in the face, you're going to react.
Or
But
responsive.
overreacting is something really different. So we only have a short time here, so we can't explore overreacting at this point. But so to react, that's natural. We react all the time to life. But overreacting is when we're involved. So we need to put involved, Ben, in the reactionary. And we can immediately go to the practical, and you tell me what would be the practical version of involved be. Think of a tiny child and how they're fully, and then it just switches off and they're focused somewhere else.
Detached.
No, they're not detached. Oh.
In the moment.
Engaged, yes, fully engaged. Fully engaged. It's really different to involved. And we need to put easy then in reactionary, huh? So we're looking always, we want what's easy, what's familiar, even if it's painful sometimes. That of the devil we know, yeah? So easy. And as we know, I mean, especially in today's world with, you know, and everything has been geared around making our lives easier, yes? And we see how daunting that has become with computers and everybody's connected, and we see a dark side to that, yes? So easy, what would be the opposite of easy?
Challenging.
Easy.
Challenge.
Easy, the opposite is simple. Challenging definitely could come, but so the opposite of easy is simple. That's a really important distinction to make. That's something you need to ponder maybe a little bit. So when things are simple, they're often really difficult. But easy is very different. And easy is usually complicated. It usually complicates. We take the easier way out. We lie, for example. We don't tell the truth. We hide something. It usually results in complications. So the reactionary mind is very complicated.
Could we add complicated there as well as?
We have. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have.
And the practical version of complicated?
Also
complex.
Simple.
Complex, yes. Really different. So some of these will, afterwards, you might want to ponder. And of course, then you add to these lists on your own afterwards. This is just to give you an idea. Okay, so let's go back to the top again, Ben. Okay, so overreacts, reacts. Judgmental.
Observant.
Observant, and maybe discerns, huh? Do you think? Discerning? Blaming.
Responsible.
Responsible, yes. So here, it's a little frustrating. So here we usually take one word or two words each satsang and we explore them. And here we have huge lists of words, and each one we could spend a whole day exploring, and it would give us so many insights. But we need to begin somewhere. And I was thinking today the best way is just to try and see this difference. Because once we have it written down and we see it and we ponder a little bit, we start noticing which mind is actually active right now. Mm-hmm. Addictive.
At choice?
Beg your pardon?
At choice, like you choose your.
Choosing or
enjoying.
We don't always enjoy, do we? Then we don't have to always enjoy. The opposite of addictive is choosing is a good word. Is there another word?
Accepting. Inventive.
Willful.
Accepting.
Accepting is such a highly charged word, isn't it? The reactionary mind loves it. It says, now I'm going to accept that everything is out of my hand. Well, we can't accept. It's not a, so accepting, I'm not sure. Choosing is.
Can it be free? So addictive, and then the opposite would possibly be freedom?
Could be that, couldn't it? I mean, there are no rules for this, but what is our experience, the opposite of addictive? So addictive is.
It's not so much choosing, it's at choice.
At choice?
It's where you can actually sit and choose which way to go, whether to, I don't know, have that cookie or the drink. You make a choice in the moment, as opposed to being victim to your addictions.
So it's selective.
That, yeah.
Well, selective would be reactionary mind. It's selective.
I like freedom. I think freedom was a good one.
Acceptance.
Well, I mean, so
freedom to
addictions
choose.
are also an illness.
Yeah. Or just simply a choice.
It's actually the freedom to choose.
Ability to choose, maybe. Able to choose. Yes, huh, Hank? Is that what you're saying, Hank?
Yes, correct.
Yes. Ability to choose. That's something we can all ponder for us, because addictive is so close to all of us, isn't it? We're all, because the reactionary mind is the addictive mind.
Could you say autonomous here?
It's
what
such
about
a
choice?
word.
What about just choice?
Yes, so we're trying to describe it as a behavior, though.
If you're not in a habit, then you're either something like curious, inventing.
Conscious choice?
Will.
Free?
Willpower. Have anything to do with it?
Maybe enthusiastic.
Selective. The word practical comes to me. So it's impossible for us while we're in addiction. It's very, very hard for us to be practical. Yes, to take practical action.
Or free to choose, because the freedom and ability to choose, it's about being in the state of not being pulled to something. So there's the freedom or the ability.
Yes, but we're not talking, we're talking very specifically about the way the vertical mind functions. This is why so it's practical, and so it chooses and it's practical. So we put choice and practical. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we're looking at, not looking at how does this affect me? We're looking at how does this vertical mind function? Because clearly in most of us, it doesn't function very often. Yes, it functions perhaps when we can go into the zone in practice, or go into, yes, and it's like, so why can't I always be there? What is it? What then kicks in? I leave a session and immediately I'm reactionary and I'm the same old person. And when I'm in the zone, I feel like I'm enlightened. So we know there's a radical difference between our two ways of the mind's function. Yes, so we're looking almost as a behavior.
What about open to all, like open to all, or ever, like
Well,
instead of addictive, it's very selective, right? Then it has to have all of this. I don't know, open to all or openness.
Yes, I think we need to be more specific about how we're describing its function. So it's the function of the mind.
What
Well,
about
thoughtful.
pausing? What about pausing?
Conscious.
Pausing?
Causing?
No, taking a pause. P-A-U-S.
Okay.
Quiet. You know, addiction is like a stir, and pausing and silence allows choice.
Maybe, but you know, it also depends on the nature of the human being. And sometimes a human being might not be living from the addictive mind in that moment, but they're not necessarily going to be silent or pausing. Whereas the vertical mind is practical. That's its key, it's practical. It might
Esther,
not.
I would say, yeah, I agree with that, because like if I do codependency meetings because of my addiction to codependency. And when I'm not in that, I'm making a choice, because I'm observing my addictive behavior and then making a practical choice that this isn't healthy for me.
Yes, practical and responsible.
Yeah.
Yes. So in that one goes practical, choice, responsible. Those would be behaviors I feel, yes, I relate to the codependent one. We're all to some degree codependent. So practical is like the antithesis of the reactionary mind. Huh? Sharon.
I was saying the word thoughtful, if that helps. Thoughtful.
Yes. Well, maybe that would go opposite something else.
I know.
So maybe it would go opposite thoughtless. So the reactionary mind thinks a lot, but it's pretty thoughtless because it doesn't question and it assumes. And it's always out to make things easy. And so it's looking, and it's goal oriented. So thoughtfulness is not something that happens. Yes, I mean, it can happen, but it's contrived usually. Mm-hmm. So the reactionary mind is very contrived. It contrives to defend us. So I think opposite that would be thoughtful. Yes. Does that make sense to you, Sharon?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But put it opposite addictive also, because if you can, Ben, because.
What about expansive?
Beg your pardon?
What about expansive? Would that be?
Well, maybe we'd put that opposite contracted.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah.
How about grounded?
Grounded. Is that the nature of the reactionary mind, grounded?
Yeah, addicted.
Maybe that's the result of what happens from it, but that's more a description of the whole behavior, do you think?
Yeah.
So there's a little difference, just so there's a result of how the reactionary mind functions, and there's a result of how the practical mind functions.
Okay.
With the practical mind, yes, we can be grounded, but the nature of the practical mind is it's direct, no? Whereas the reactionary mind is indirect, sneaky. Yeah. So it assumes I would rather not know the truth. So I'm going to type into my search engine what I believe I know and ask a question about it. So it always begins questions with why and how, rather than asking a clear question that doesn't have an assumption in it already. Does that make sense? So sneaky, direct. indirect, direct, sneaky, honest.
Ben, you've written expansive under reactionary mind, and I think it needs to be contracted just to bring your attention.
So when you were talking about grounded, Esther, it seems like all of these things from the practical mind come from a more grounded place.
Yes, can be just, yes. So something very different, isn't it? So I keep on going back to little children, watching little children, because I'm around a little girl a lot and have been watching her since the day she was born and seeing the changes and seeing now age 3.5, nearly 4, have seen in the last year how the reactionary mind is forming and the big change that I see happening. And I'm thinking, well, I wouldn't have thought of her as grounded before when she was functioning from the practical mind, just very present.
And natural.
Yeah, very present, very natural. Whereas when we are functioning from the reactionary mind, our behavior is contrived, yes, and unnatural.
Yeah, and the
So
word
one of the in our list today, what do you want from satsang? I think one of them was, I don't want to lose myself, or I just want to be myself. But knowing who that is impossible with the reactionary mind, because it has a huge list of identities. This is who you are, you know? And they're all contradictory. For every positive identity we have, there's a negative one just waiting to show itself. Yes. So, and they're always playing themselves off against each other.
Could we add authentic into the practical mind?
Yes, honest, authentic. Mm-hmm. So what is your experience so far? I don't want this to be too heady, and part of me thinks maybe we just leave these lists as they are and you can fill in the rest and add to them for yourself afterwards. But I'll wait to hear from you. What's your experience right now doing this list? What are you feeling? Check in with your nervous system.
you're working hard at trying to figure things out.
Okay.
So the mind is very active.
Okay, all right. So just for a moment, just close your eyes and just tune into your nervous system. Tune into your gut, just see what's happening. Faye, you had something to say.
Yes, I think I kind of forgot it. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. And was it Lynn? Was there a Lynn? Faye, your hand's still right, Lynn?
Yeah, I just typed in something. I'm just aware that the term addictive brought up. I was just observing, it brought up a lot of reactions from people, and I'm observing that it brought up a reaction in me. And I've just come online because I've just woken up. I'm in New Zealand, and so my brain is just starting to fire. But as you asked to think in, I mean, yeah, my heart is racing because I've been I'm very aware of through my personal experience of the power of the addictive mind to be so powerful And I'm just really struggling, well, not struggling, but I'm just really feeling into, yeah, so what with the practical mind? I'm very aware of how the addictive mind can behave, or observing it. What is the opposite? And it's really, really interesting, because I think for me that term sums up in such a huge way the reactionary mind, because the addictive mind is actually, it's not conscious, it's been hijacked.
Exactly. So yes, so those are good words, Ben. If you could write down hijacked, unconscious,
reactive. I mean,
do you have that word in New Zealand that they have in Australia, gunny sacking?
No.
It's such a good Australian word, gunny sacking. It's just everything's put together, sort of, you know, and people say, don't gunny sack. It means you bring all your garbage into the moment. And that's really the reaction mind, gunny sacks, but that's only in Australia, I think we have that word. So hijacked, unconscious, yes. And the reactionary mind, it is the addictive mind. So it's an addiction. So none of us are free of addiction.
So is it the unconscious mind? I need some clarity here. Like, to me, the reactive mind seems quite conscious. Like, I know a lot of decisions we make, but can you just explain that a bit more?
Well, then instead of unconscious, maybe ignorant would be a better word. Yes. So it's ignorant. It means it lacks practical knowledge. It's uninformed. It's been informed from generations. Yes. From generations in a family, from generations in a society, from the environment. So it's uninformed. So the practical mind informs itself. It asks questions. So by unconscious, yeah, so many of these words are so highly charged and they need us to spend a whole day with, really. But I'm hoping as you look at this, you'll see, there's so much I just haven't really explored. I mean, I could just take any one word here and explore it for a whole day. Yes. What does it mean for me? How does it affect my life? Yes. So I've worked with lists for years, and it might seem, oh, that's very heady, but I find it a very gut thing. So I don't go and try and find anything clever. I go to my gut. So what is my experience? I think that's what you're communicating, Lynn, huh? It's like, oh, you feel it in the gut. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yes, tell me, Lynn.
And when the word is right, you just know it's right. I was just explaining to a friend yesterday why I love working with lists, because particularly if you're thinking of the emotions, it might be anger, but then you get to actually know it's rage, and it's like, yes, but the word is so, the word, it's right. It just opens up floodgates of the connection from the mind to the actual physical body of what it's actually feeling. I feel.
Well, and that's the problem. So so the reactionary mind, the addictive mind, it's constantly saying, this is what you feel. Yeah. So it tells us, this is what you feel. I feel depressed. So here is maybe Ben, maybe we'll take that off the screen for a moment, Ben, just to not keep on triggering our intellects, and also so I can see all your faces, huh? Or some of your faces, not everybody. So here we are, and we're experiencing the world. So side on, you see someone experiencing the world. So what's the first way we experience the world?
Sensory.
Sensory. Yeah,
Sensory.
sensory, yes. So we see, we feel, we hear, we touch, we smell. So it's sensory, yes. And what do the senses do?
Report.
Yeah, so they inform us, don't they? They inform us. So where does the reactionary mind come in? So here's the reactionary mind. Here's the us and the senses. They're about to inform us. What does the reactionary mind do with the senses?
Interpret.
It interprets. So usually it misinterprets. Yes. So it comes in and it goes, ah. So here the sense triggers some reaction in our physical body. And the mind comes in, hijacks the sensation and says, this is what it means. This is what it is. And then gives us a whole story about why we're feeling it. Yes. I feel the need for another drink, and this is why.
Like a distorted perspective.
Yeah, so it distorts. So the reactionary mind distorts and it misinterprets. So it keeps on grabbing. So the senses are the messengers for the mind. But instead of receiving the message and doing something practical with it, which is what our natural mind does, it takes the message and distorts it. It's reactionary. Yeah. So it's always trying to protect against. So rather than feeling our feelings, feeling the sensations, even feeling our emotions, we think them first and then maybe feel them. That we certainly don't feel like little children do. You see, they feel everything fully. You can just see it on their faces, yeah, fully, and then it cuts off. They felt it fully, so it cuts off. Whereas we don't feel fully, so the feeling can go on and on and on. So we can grieve someone for years and years and years, rather than deeply, deeply feeling the emotion and then it's gone. I remember Ramesh, again, teacher I talked about in the beginning, he had a lovely story about a man who came to him not long after his wife had died. And the man told him about he had a little girl, I think she was about 5. And he was really sad, one day, and he couldn't stop grieving his wife. And his little daughter came and sat on his lap and said, "Daddy, why are you sad? Is it because you're thinking about Mummy?" And he said, "Yes." And she said, "Then don't think about her." It was so simple. Yes. Whereas we think, but you have to keep on thinking about the person. Otherwise it means you don't love them. Or yes, we have so many rules about why we need to feel a certain way. Yes. So the reactionary mind is always dictating how we need to feel and what we're feeling. So sometimes I've worked with people who, will come and say, "I'm totally overwhelmed," or "I'm feeling really depressed." And when they actually ask the reactionary mind, if they can, to just relax for a moment and they focus. I mean, a couple of times I've had them burst out laughing and say, "Oh, it suddenly disappeared. It just stopped. That wasn't it at all. Actually, this is what I'm feeling." Yeah. So it's misinforming us all the time. So poor mind, it's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's never been trained. So in breakthrough and in our satsangs, this is the whole focus. It's like, oh, we have to have some compassion for ourselves because we have this hand-me-down mind and we're just trying to shut it up or close it off, or we meditate to try and stop thinking, but it's just a band-aid. We need to, it's like we need to embrace it fully. What are you about? How do you function? So let me just look at all your attributes, which is what we've been doing here. Now, what would be the opposite? So that would be the natural way. So this is what's giving me pain. So there's nothing we can do. We can't get rid of that programming, but we can start seeing it. So a lot of it just needs light shed on it. So what we do in Breakthrough, for example, we have particular ways of working, and we get to see, we begin with a story about somebody just really overreacted to. Yeah, so we begin with a single story. We'll hone down to 4 simple words, and we'll just work. We'll just explore an overreaction. And we get to see, oh, we quickly forget the other person and the story. And we're totally focused on what's happening in our own behavior, our own mind, not in a blaming way. It's just a simple logical process following, oh, that's how I think. I never realized that. Oh, I've become my mother. We start seeing, how beliefs are handed down, and how they pretty much we're hostages to them. Yes. And when we see all the contradictions in our mind, it's very clear to us, well, I never consciously put together this whole collection of conflicting thoughts for myself. So clearly, I'm not to blame and I didn't do it. I can see it was handed down, but then, where does the buck stop? How many generations back? So as long as I'm blaming, focusing somewhere or at myself, it's totally impractical. But once I see, well, I have no idea how all these contradictions came about in my mind, but I'm seeing them now, a shift happens in us. It's like, well, the ball's in my court. Now I'm getting a better sense of why I overreact to this or that. Okay, because all these conflicting beliefs immediately bubble to the surface. So the whole conflict is actually in here. And that person's just catalyzing something that was there long before I met them. And the other day, at the end of doing a breakthrough session with someone, I said, so can you forgive yourself? Now you see all these contradictory beliefs. And she said, but I have to take responsibility. So both need to happen. So the ball's in my court. These are contradictions in my own mind. So taking responsibility means, okay, these are my thoughts. Don't know how they got there. So I'm not guilty for them or to blame for them, but they're my thoughts. So I'm going to take responsibility. That means I can take practical action, but I can also forgive myself. Does that make sense to you? Yes. So that's so it's very paradoxical. So our mind is dualistic. It can only think in terms of right and wrong. So these are the things that in Satsangs we explore. Like, so how do I know exactly what is right and what is wrong? There has to be a clear demarcation. So, and to explore something like that, it's wonderful what comes out. So much of the time we're looking to make our comfort zone more comfortable. We don't even realize it. I want to get enlightened. I want to do this. We're really just looking to support the reactionary mind. Yeah? So I would say what I really want is to just stop overreacting to life. This is the real problem, now, isn't it? That I want to be fully here. I know life will have all kinds of horrible things happening and good things happening and in between. So I can't say I only want joy. Yeah? I want to feel everything fully and not overreact to that. So that's a really different focus to what most of us have. No? Yeah, so life begins at the end of our comfort zone. So is this, making this list, is it helping you? Can you tell me what your experience is so far? You can just talk.
I appreciate that last, one of the last things that you said, Esther, about wanting to feel life feel life or experience life fully and not overreact to that. Because reflecting on my own life, that's something that I see that I do, which is overreact to just a natural reaction. Yeah. So
well, yeah, you make such a good point, because a huge word you need to put on that list is it's perfectionist. Yeah, so the reactionary mind is perfectionist. It wants us to be a perfect criminal, a perfect serial killer, a perfect guru, perfect anything, as long as it's perfect. Mm-hmm.
Found it interesting.
Yes.
I was going to say, I found it interesting to, because this is my first satsang, so it's interesting to go through the list and kind of, that's helpful to understand the concepts. And when you're talking about the comfort zone, I find it interesting to think that we're working really hard at trying to keep ourselves in the comfort zone. And yet if we stop and observe a little bit deeper and look at things that we're trying to avoid, because we're trying to avoid things to stay in the comfort zone. And when we don't avoid those things and look at them, you actually get a much better comfort zone. So all that controlling doesn't really put you into a comfort zone.
Right, so life isn't a comfort zone, is it? Life is difficult. It's really hard. I was thinking the other day, my gosh, our bodies are so vulnerable. I mean, we're human. We can be injured. We can have a heart attack. Anything could happen in any second. We're totally vulnerable all the time. So it takes tremendous courage, but we don't really think about that anymore. Yes, but so there's nothing comfortable about life. Yes, it's intense. And yet the reactionary mind tells us, no, no, it's not good to be intense. So it's not, your little children, they're very intense. Life isn't comfortable. It's not meant to be comfortable. It's just meant to be lived. I remember sitting in my bed, I was having struggled for a long time with depression. And I remember suddenly it was like a light bulb went on. I deserve to experience everything. It just hit me. Yes, everything. Not just what I want to experience, just not what's comfortable. Everything, because if I don't experience fully, then I can't respond practically to life. Yeah. So while I'm here and my senses are giving messages to my brain, but it's going, no, this is what's actually happening. Yeah. I'm never really experiencing life fully, therefore never experiencing myself fully.
Yeah,
And
I
that
think.
experiencing. Sorry.
Yes, talk.
Go ahead, Mel. I was just gonna say when you were like that last word, like when it was like about hijacking, it made me think about, like you're saying, it's like when we, I guess, do work around everything that we're doing, I do like the Tao method, I guess it's called stalking. And that's literally what it's like. It's like going down that list and being super uncomfortable. And it's hard to explain it to people when you're in that super uncomfortable and you're like, no, this is good. Like, it's really good to be really uncomfortable, because then I get to learn so much more about my natural state. And it's not about erasing it. It's just about, there's so many layers of it that, the next time I might go into, say, the addictive, part of my personality, or, it might get less uncomfortable, but I mean, it's always uncomfortable. Like you said, life is always uncomfortable, and it's okay. Right. But it's like everybody, I guess, thinks that you have to be like, really Zen-like and calm and everything. And I'm so intense with emotions. Right. And it's like, I'm okay having a big snot ball. Like, I'm okay being, really angry sometimes, and I'm not going to stay there. I always say it's like trying to get back to your 2-year-old emotions. And so that's what, like, because I've never done the satsang before in this way. And so it makes me think, oh, it's good. I've been doing it just in a different way, right? Like, it's okay to experience it.
Yeah, but we can't power positive thinking ourselves to this point, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it just requires again and again that we explore deeper.
Mm-hmm.
That we explore this deeper, and exploring the mechanism of the reactionary mind is one of the quickest ways to cut through the reactionary behavior. It's not popular. I had a wonderful lady wrote to me yesterday. I don't know, do you have that quote yesterday? I won't quote verbatim, but she gave me feedback after we did a breakthrough session. She said, I was trying to explain to my husband, you know, about doing a steps reaction. And I told him, it's like, you know, it's like giving birth. Do you have the quote?
Yes, I've got it for you. Shall I read it?
Don't give the name, but just, yes.
No.
Can you?
I was trying to describe the steps to my husband, and the best description I could come up with was that it was a bit like childbirth, quite painful at the time, and you wish it was over and vow never to do it again. But at the end, you forget all the previous pain because you have this amazing baby, which is the insight. And I can't wait to go back again. I can't wait to go again.
Yeah. So that's the benefit of doing this kind of work, where we actually go straight there, straight to the reactionary mind. Yes. So don't you experience a lot of compassion as we focus on this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, oh, not sorry for ourselves. It's just like, oh, yes. And how courageous. Yes. So this hasn't been our fault that we have this mind. Yes, courageous. Here we are. We've been dealing with something like, it's like an internal mechanism that keeps on seeming to undermine us. Yes. So it's learning to develop a relationship with that and understand, but there is practical action I can take, because we all have experience of the practical mind. Yes, it can kick in the most, I don't know how it is for you. You know, I can be really bad in certain situations, little life problems. But if it comes to someone in major crisis, that's when the practical mind is absolutely there. Calm down. Yes, so you know it takes over when you need it. It can also do it for us. But the more you do this work, the more the practical mind, the more you hone the practical mind, it starts to expand in its abilities to direct and inform and question. And we learn to refine the way we question and the way we explore. So what are you feeling in your bodies right now, in your nervous systems?
Excitement.
Beg your pardon?
Excitement.
Okay.
Because it's so much of what you're saying with the practical mind, and the vertical mind, it kicks in crisis situations, and so much we see the practical mind kicking in dealing with other people's situations and having that compassion. And too often we don't look at ourselves like this and have that compassion for ourselves the same we do for other people.
Yes. And the trouble is we're highly, totally identified with the reactionary mind. This is who I am. I am everything the reactionary mind tells me I am. And to get a little break from that, the reactionary mind is going to talk all about you. Terrible things or wonderful things. No? So, yes. And blame takes very strange forms, Oh, I love to be around you, my darling. You just make me feel so wonderful. I mean, in that moment, it's like now you're totally responsible for how I feel. Yeah, that's how sneaky the reactionary mind is. So in that moment, it's like anytime anything makes me feel, we know the reactionary mind is kicked in. That's its language. This makes me feel, that makes me feel. Nothing makes us feel. We just have natural responses to life all the time, natural reactions to life, that nothing makes us feel a particular way. It's really different. But the blaming mind, the reactionary, addictive mind, it's always, and that's where all our guilt is, our shame. So now we know, oh, but my mind has two different ways of functioning, and I'm familiar with the other way. Don't see it very often, but when it's there, wow, it strikes me how well it functions. So knowing we have that ability, we just need to now draw on it, build on it. And if you work with these lists and you really create the big differentiation, you get to see, you start noticing which mind is functioning. Oh, that was sneaky. That mind's the one that's functioning now. It's not that we have two minds, but certainly feels that way, yes? Sometimes. Yes, Lynn.
You just said we don't have two minds. I just immediately thought about the left and right. Because in a way, I just said to me then, the left brain is problem solving, i.e. it's reacting. Okay, there's a problem. How do we deal with it? Whereas the right brain is I'm observing. I'm able to, okay, I'm seeing this person saying this, and I'm feeling me reacting to what they're saying, but I'm able to realize it's a reaction to what that person is saying. It's not them doing that to me.
Yeah, if that happens all in an instant and it's healthy, that's the whole mind, yes, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So otherwise we talk about, oh, I'm very left-brained, or I'm very intuitive, or I'm very, so we talk in terms, we're always dividing up. Yes. But you cannot have a strong, healthy intellect that knows how to inquire without assuming, unless you also have a really healthy intuition. So as one grows, the other grows. Yes. Yeah. So you can't be left-brained or right-brained. Yes. So that, and this is, I mean, the work we do in BreakThrough, I mean, it's huge because we explore all of these concepts. But so that the reactionary mind is always dividing everything up, right and wrong, left and right, male and female. It's just because that's the way it functions, which is perfectly fine. But then we need to really understand that dynamic. Yeah. So yes, so it's right. We have two different ways the mind functions. We have a left-right brain, but in the end, we have to function from the whole mind, which would be our natural, practical mind.
So, oops, I just fell into the reactionary mind without even knowing it.
Yeah,
because I saw it as dualistic instead of the one. Yeah, interesting. This is worth waking up for.
I'm so glad. Okay. Yeah, it's exciting. It's like, oh, there is something I can do, something really practical. Yes, I can start training my mind, not by forcing it to do anything in particular, just by better understanding its function. Yeah. And the better I understand the functioning of my mind, better I can use it. It's the better I understand any tool, the better I can use it. More practically I can use it. So, I'm one of these people who will thump the TV on the top or shake things that don't work. But yes, but once you know how something works, then it can function better for you. No? It's the same as with our mind. Mm-hmm. So, and it's not an exploration that a lot of people want to do because they think it's an intellectual exploration, but that's not understanding the intellect. So the intellect is more than just thinking, and it's far more than that. So it's not divorced from the whole. So
Making,
yes, Sharon.
making the lists helps like clarify for me the thought processes. And I think, again, most of my life I probably was reactionary, but just to see the opposite, it gives more choices. And
yeah,
I like that.
no, there are tons of choices. Oh, there's a whole world that I've barely lived. Yes, yes, because I was handed this reaction. This was the tool I was handed. This, you know, this hand-me-down. So long ago, I thought, oh, so it's like I was fixated on the 7 heavenly virtues, and I thought, and the 7 heavenly, what is it? The 7 deadly sins and the 7 heavenly virtues. And I thought, that's the reactionary mind. That's what's handed down. Those 7 deadly sins and 7 heavenly virtues, and all the dogma and all the programming that goes around those. And that's what I need to be clear on. So the reactionary mind is all about rules, rigid rules. There's only one way. You should not do that. You should do that. So we look around, we look out there, and we see all the conflict happening, probably more than we do usually, because we're all experiencing a common pandemic. Yes, so we're seeing these diametrically opposed. We're getting to see it playing out, perhaps more on a global scale, and that's exactly what's happening in our reactionary mind. So we can try and fix the world and do all those things out there, but much simpler to work with this. Yes, the work can, here we can make dramatic change really simply, just by shedding light on it. So rather than, because I don't want to exhaust your minds, rather than going through those 2 lists anymore, I think those are ones that afterwards you carry on working with for yourself. You get the idea, no? It's giving you a sense of what to work with. I was wondering now if you'd like to try out what we've been doing for the last 1.5 years, which is to explore just a single word. Would you like to try that? Okay. So what we look for are words that are highly charged for us. What are some of the ones, Ben, that we've been working with? So many. I keep on thinking we're going to run out of words, and then it just goes deeper each time. Ben keeps listening.
Guilt, meaning, purpose, free will. We explored anger, addiction, joy, intimacy, coping, spiritual.
Okay, Ben, you pick one.
Oh, we're going to pick one.
Unless any of you were like, oh, I desperately want to focus on that word.
Wanting.
Beg your pardon?
Wanting. Like a desire. You really want something, that there's always, you feel like there's a hole, you're always wanting.
Would that not be addiction?
Wouldn't that not be lack?
That's all of that.
I meant to choose one of the words better come up with. So, but yes, all right. So out of that, let's see. Wanting.
One word that I was thinking of this morning that is freedom. It's a lot of, I think that is something that's on many people's minds these days with vaccine passports and things like that, and freedom of choice, freedom of movement, freedom of travel, freedom of whatever.
Right. So, well, so what we usually find is these words all really go together. Yes. So when we want, isn't it? We usually want something or other to happen. Why? Or we want to have something. Why?
So we feel better.
So we feel better. Yes. So we want some kind of freedom from, relief from, isn't it? Wanting. So I'm thinking maybe freedom. What do you think, Melody? Do you think freedom would cover want? It might do. Huh?
Yes, yes.
All right. So we only have half an hour. So we won't go very, very deep, but it'll just give you a taste of what we do.
Are you going to write this, Esther, or do you want me to scribe?
I think I'll put it in chat because otherwise I can't
Okay.
see anybody. And I feel a bit lonely.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So in chat, so don't read it. Just don't stick reading it. Just make this a gut experience. So what we usually do is we explore one. We begin with a question. Then question.
What exactly is freedom?
For me, to me.
What exactly is freedom to me? To me, for me.
Or what does freedom mean for me, to me?
Yeah, what does freedom mean to me?
Exactly. Okay.
Exactly.
What does freedom mean to me exactly? So this is a question for each of us to ask ourselves. So this isn't one where we're going to go up in our heads and find some clever answer or no. This is where we're going to go into our gut and the first answer that comes to us. So if something comes to you and someone else is speaking, either write it down or just hold it until they remember it until they've stopped speaking, and I'll write them down. Okay, so these are really our connotations for freedom. What's it mean to me? What's the dictionary meaning? That makes sense. So the other thing we do is make your answers no more than 8 words. So this is one of the ways, because our focus is to train the mind, to discipline it really, discipline to focus. So the natural mind is very focused. So now we're just telling the reactionary mind, focus. It's like pulling the leash a little bit, a little correction to the puppy.
So
right.
just a reminder to people, do not write in the chat, just leave that for Esther to write, or else things will get all jumbled and confused there.
And please give me full sentences now that count your words, no more than 8 words, okay? So what does freedom mean to me exactly? Monica?
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. I have 2. Freedom means I choose for myself.
Means choosing for myself?
Yes. Freedom means choosing for myself. Freedom means I am responsible for my life.
Okay, that sounds a little heady, like it didn't come from your gut, the second one. So make sure you're coming from your gut. Yes, Anissa.
To live life to its fullest.
Make full sentences, no more than 8 words.
Freedom is living life to its fullest.
Include yourself.
Freedom is living my life to its fullest.
Someone else had their, hands up. Linda.
Freedom means I can do what I want.
Caroline, you have to call out the names because I'm typing, I can't watch and see order.
Melody.
Freedom means options without constraints.
Put yourself into the sentence. Now, these are very big words. You're going into your gut. So what does freedom mean for me exactly? Okay, you're on your deathbed. What does freedom mean for me exactly?
Freedom means no barbed wire.
No barbed wire.
Personal pronoun.
Yeah, personal pronoun.
Oh,
Keep on
okay.
putting yourself. This is your answer for you. What does freedom mean to me exactly?
Freedom means, freedom is me not being confined by barbed wire.
Think about 8 words and then put your hand up. Yeah, okay. So for example, so a gut, a very common gut one. So freedom means not having any limitations. So freedom means nobody can limit me. Freedom means having no responsibilities. Okay, so I'm not looking for your clever intellectual. It's what's your gut saying?
Freedom means not, or freedom means being able to use my voice. Like not having any fear to use my voice actually is more specific to me.
Okay, so let's begin. All right, so let's begin the sentences with, when I am free.
I'm not scared to use my voice.
Is that 8 words?
I don't know. Freedom, Jimmy is.
When I am free, I have
my voice.
Make 8 word sentences. Just
okay.
Before you
Freedom,
speak, think.
To me.
Start with when I am free.
I am free, I am able to talk.
When I am free, I am able to talk. So try and make 8 word sentences and get everything in you want. So for example, freedom means I can talk openly. Or freedom means I express myself without fear, something like that. Put it into 8 words. Huh?
So it's when I am free. No, when, what did you say again? When, what are the words again? When I'm free, I speak my truth.
Okay.
Lynn?
When I am free, I am at ease.
So what is freedom exactly? Still what you're trying to explain. It's not saying what it gives you, it's saying what is it exactly? What is it exactly?
Feeling of ease.
Is feeling at ease. Okay, Caroline, can you talk louder and tell people who've got hands up?
Yes, Sharon.
When I am free, I live joyfully.
Wendy.
Freedom is release from judgment and self-doubt.
Okay, so let's now leave you out and just put what exactly is freedom? What's the word mean to you? First words that come to you. And you can call out this and just maybe give single words or sentences. Kristen?
Aliveness.
Now try and make sentences. What exactly is freedom?
Freedom is exactly a sense of aliveness.
And you don't have to put the word exactly in, but is a sense of aliveness. Okay.
Freedom is a sense of aliveness.
Christine?
Space, and the sentence would be,
Freedom is space to be authentic.
So what
Chantal?
is freedom exactly? Ponder it a moment. What is it exactly? Really know what it is. So you might have some, so what exactly is freedom?
For me, it's respect.
Freedom is respect.
Yeah.
Explain that.
For who I am.
Freedom is respecting who I am. Yes?
Yes.
What does that mean exactly for you?
That's you can say and feel and do without being judged.
So freedom is the absence of limitations?
No. Not really, no. There can be limitations.
So freedom is conditional. So it's, tell me again.
Is feeling respect for who I am.
Yes, I have that.
She said something interesting there, was without
judgment.
Yeah.
Yes. Chantal, what did you say about without being judged?
Without being judged.
So put it in a sentence.
Okay. Freedom is being respected without being judged. It's probably too long. But
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
Perfect. Less than 8 words. So freedom is conditional.
That could be.
No, look at your sentence. Freedom is being respected without being judged. So freedom is conditional, no?
Yeah.
Yes?
Okay. Yes, yes.
What's the condition?
Not being judged.
So freedom is a conditional experience? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's not could be.
Yeah.
It's
if you say it that way, yes, it is.
No, so it's not what I'm telling you, but it's looking at what you've written. So logical conclusion, freedom is being respected without being judged is, freedom is a conditional experience.
It is conditional experience, yes. Yeah.
Going.
Melody.
Freedom is not holding back.
Not holding what back?
Everything of your self-expression and what you feel like doing.
Is fully expressing myself?
Expressing and enjoying, kind of taking advantage of opportunities. So not holding back, enjoying, fully enjoying.
Okay. So can you have freedom in grief? Can you have it in anger? Can you have it in other emotions?
Yes, that's more difficult, but yes.
So freedom is a conditional experience.
Yes.
Hank?
Freedom is not being influenced by the world. I want to come back to my first statement, where I said, things do have an influence on how I think. But for me, freedom is to just be. Whatever happens, if there's sadness, if there's joy, whatever there is, you can have freedom in that. So for me, there should not be any limitation to it. It's a state of mind.
Freedom is a state of mind.
Yes, you can say that.
But you're saying more.
Well, for me, it was I'm being influenced by the world. So I let the world, or what I talk about the world, I'm talking about outside forces, things that trigger me. For me, freedom, not being triggered by anything. It's just to be.
So freedom is a non-reactionary state of mind.
That's a good way of saying it.
Is it how you would say it?
Yes.
Kristen? Kristen?
Anita.
Antonia. Oh, Anita, okay. Anita, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Freedom is having no restraints.
Freedom is having no restraints. Mm-hmm.
Medina?
Just a second. Being myself easily, spontaneously, and without doubts. Or another one I thought was the absence of trouble inside and outside.
Wow.
Antonia?
Freedom is creative living within a healthy structure.
That sounds very heady, Antonia. Go to your gut. What is freedom? What is freedom to you? Ask your gut, not your head. It's really different. So our gut has lots of ideas about what freedom is. And this is coming from our gut and also partially from our reactionary mind. It has a lot of ideas about freedom. Yeah, it has strong ideas about freedom because it has a million rules about how we achieve it. So freedom is something, a goal to be achieved for the reactionary mind. Yeah.
I would say freedom is answering to nobody but myself.
Catherine?
Freedom is power.
Can you explain that?
Listening to all the responses, it's about being able to do, think, feel, make choices without restrictions. Well, all of that leads to just being empowered. Freedom
So
is power.
eight words. Explain what freedom is in 8 words.
Freedom is power.
Yes, but explain why.
So empowering, freedom to choose. So
freedom to choose is empowering. Freedom is empowerment through what?
Of self.
Empowerment of self. Okay. Then.
Freedom is getting what I want. I've been thinking recently, I was thinking recently of the idea of the id, like I want what I want and I want it now. So that's freedom.
Freedom is being able to avoid also. Lisa.
I wrote, freedom is an individual experience.
Mm-hmm. Shelley?
Freedom is owning my confidence. And I say that with a question.
Yeah, me too. What does that mean?
Well, I was just thinking of freedom as being confident, having confidence. But then I was thinking more of just owning it, feeling free to own it.
So what does that mean? I never really understand when people talk about I own my experience, or I own my emotion, or I own. What does it mean to own? I don't understand that. It's like I own a car, but I don't know about owning this behavior.
I was trying to think of something to deal with confidence, because having confidence in what I think or what I feel and anything like that. So
when you say I own it, do you mean I'm responsible for it?
It's more like feeling that I am confident, not just being confident, but actually feeling it as well. I'm not sure how to, yeah, I'm not sure how to word it.
Are you saying
there's a lot of confidence in that?
Are you saying confidence gives me freedom?
Oh, okay. I like that.
Different, no? So then before I can be free, I must have, now you can all give me a list. Confidence. Give me single words, just shout them out. Before I can be free, I must have
ease.
I can't understand.
Easy, have ease.
Shout them out.
Geese. Comfort. I must have my comfort zone.
Tact. Before I can be free, I must have
Tact.
I can't understand.
Tact. T-A-C-T. Tact. I like a discernment.
Tact. Okay. Before I can be free, I must have
Fearlessness.
Fearlessness.
No restrictions.
No restrictions. Keep on going. From your guts, don't think about it.
Security.
Security.
Stability.
Stability.
Curiosity.
Curiosity.
Choice.
Choice.
Strength.
Strength.
Abundance.
Abundance.
Insight.
Insight.
Support.
So right now we have a list. So just exploring that list all by itself, what strikes you?
That there are a lot of rules around what I think it means to be free. Then freedom is conditional upon the rules that I have for myself and my ideals for freedom.
Yeah, and what else?
They're all positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's it's all the light stuff. It's none of the heavy stuff.
Yeah, so it's left half of life out. Mm-hmm. What else?
Well, I've got to get all of these things before I can be free. I have to get them all.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's goal oriented. Mm-hmm. It's rules. What else? It's easy. Yes, it's the easy things, the comfortable things.
It's conditional.
Very limiting.
It's conditional. What else?
It's limiting.
It's limiting.
Dualistic.
Dualistic.
It's actually very controlling. It's completely opposite.
And demanding.
And whiny and needy and almost desperate. It feels like a very clingy, sticky desperateness.
But we
for
do
me.
everything we do is for freedom, isn't it? Ultimately, that's what we're all wanting, is just freedom. Yeah, freedom from this, freedom from that, freedom from feeling this, freedom from doing that, freedom
Like
from this
expectation.
experience.
It's like an expectation, right? Like if we don't get that, we're not free. If we don't get any of these things, we're never going to be free.
Yes, yes. So freedom's totally conditional. And it's a recipe for our reactionary mind, yes? So it comes in, yes. So we're always looking for freedom through these blinders, yes?
Avoidance.
Avoidance, yes. So we did a really quick list here, and because a lot of you didn't all get to participate, but we just sort of touch the tip of the iceberg. You get to see a little bit of some of how we explore. So usually we usually do 2 or 3, don't we, in a session. And we find, they link to each other quite remarkably. So I think ones that stood out to me were, we explored opinions. So what exactly are opinions? And there was so much around, it's important, they're good to have, and there was so much around the positive of opinions. And then there was so much about you shouldn't have strong opinions, and strong opinions of this and strong opinions of that. And then the next word we explored was honesty. And of course, one of the words was you have to speak your opinions clearly and openly. But there are other lists that you can't have opinions, they're bad. So you see everywhere how the mind's always, it's like a big minefield, the reactionary mind, yes? So just seeing those lists, they bring, what do you experience when you realize, just exploring freedom briefly?
That we're all mind fucked?
No, that the mind just really needs some help.
Yeah.
It really needs some help, yes. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a tool that we're not using in a way that is helpful to us, yes? So hopefully now you experience a little freedom in knowing, so there is a way. There is a way. I can use my mind in another way. And if I do, I can shed light on all of this. So I always think of this work like the parable of the man walking through the forest, and he sees the snake in front of him on the path, and he's terrified, and then suddenly the light shifts and changes, and he says, oh, it's just an old rope. So maybe the light will shift and change again, and he'll see it looks like a snake again, but now he knows otherwise, or he's seen it's just an old rope. So that charge isn't so strongly there. So when we work with looking at the content of the reactionary mind, that's all held in the myelin sheath, like the plastic around the electric wire, around the myelin sheath, around the nerves. That's where all this programming is held. And when we work with it, you can often start feeling streaming happening in your body, because all that needs to happen is that it's acknowledged. It doesn't have to go anywhere, it just needs to be seen for the old rope that it is, yes? That it's not something out to get you that you need to get rid of. You just have to gain perspective on it. So this is what this work really helps us do. And it's dramatic how quickly the shifts happen. Wendy, you had something to say? Wendy? No? It looked like you wanted to. So anybody have anything they want to say or input at the moment? Feedback or what you're feeling? Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you all so much. So this was an experiment in Zoom for me doing so many. So, and I'm sorry if some of you missed out. but really, really lovely to have you here, and thank you for doing this. It's always wonderful to explore together. Okay, and that's the one thing I would like to point out before we say goodbye, is that the work of self-inquiry really isn't very effective when you do it on your own, because the reactionary mind is so clever and sneaky, and most of what we think is unconscious. And we can't consciously make the unconscious conscious. You just can't do it. It's not the nature. But when we work together, we catalyze each other. It's very powerful. So really is I think the only way to do self-inquiry is, with others. So, okay. Thank you all so much. It was really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we will send the written things to you. Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.